Well, Andrew, welcome home, I guess it is really.
It
Welcome
is,
back to
thank
New
you very
Zealand.
much. It's great to be here.
Tell me, in a nutshell, what Mercy Ships is about.
Mercy Ships is really about taking the hospital to the poor. People who are hidden away because of some kind of disease or disfigurement or disability. And we do state-of-the-art surgical procedures with people and also work in communities as well, looking at community health and how communities can be better prepared to give better care to their people.
Now, this has been a bit of a special week for Mercy Ships just here in New Zealand, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Actually, we've just moved the office up from Tauranga to Auckland, and I think Auckland is the seat of business for New Zealand, and we just really wanted to be closer to that, to raise the profile of what we're doing and really raise the profile of the forgotten poor around the world and how we can work together to help their plight.
So what does that actually mean when the Mercy Ship comes into port? What does that mean for that community?
We choose ports very carefully. We look for countries where the Human Development Index, or the HDI, is the absolute lowest. So currently we're working in West Africa, and we work very closely with governments. We're in Liberia right now, and we're working with the government of Liberia, and of course they're trying to rebuild their country after a decade-long civil war. And the first elected woman president from the continent of Africa was elected as the Liberian president. We're working very closely with her and her ministry to help in the healthcare sector. It's an amazing thing when you bring a state-of-the-art hospital into an area, you have to work very closely with the local health authorities. But when you do that, it provides services that they are unable to provide for themselves. When we sail our ship in, for instance, we take a CT scanner on board with us, and that is one of 3 in West Africa. Wow. So we're able to provide services of a very specialised nature to the local population. And we're able to help people whose disfigurement, disability or disease has isolated them from their communities. And by healing them, that's part of the healing part, and by giving them hope as well, I think it makes a huge difference. And wherever we go, we're always invited back.
Because you've worked as a doctor on
Yes,
the
I did.
Mercy
I
Ships.
started my life as a physician. I don't do that now. I'm in organisational development with the International Ministry. But I started as a physician, and I was a medical student back in 1983 when the anastasis came to New Zealand. And they did a huge tour around New Zealand. There was 14 port visits around in the country, and we estimate we had about 99% national awareness of Mercy Ships and the anastasis visit. And about 150,000 Kiwis toured the ship, and I was one of them back in Dunedin, and the rest is history.
Because New Zealand has got quite a link with the Mercy Ships.
Yeah, it has.
A lot of Kiwis.
A lot of Kiwis. You know, when the anastasis came, it was really interesting. I was just remembering last night, we had a Kiwi captain, chief medical officer was a Kiwi, the chief engineer was a Kiwi, the chief purser was a Kiwi, and the chief fire officer was a Kiwi. So there was a lot of Kiwis already on the ship when it first came here. And then 150 Kiwis sailed off on the ship on its voyage up into the South Pacific.
Has it changed much since then? Has the situation got better for people, or is there still a huge need?
There's still a huge need. I mean, everywhere you go, there's a huge need, and that need really doesn't go away. I think countries are finding it hard to provide specialised care for their people. They're pretty good with providing a good primary care network, but providing specialists is a difficult problem for a lot of countries, and the need is still huge. It's still there, and we could operate 10 ships and still not meet anywhere near the need.
So now you're not on frontline medical duty, so
right.
What are you doing now?
Now I work in organisational development, and it was kind of interesting because the way that happened, I was here in New Zealand, I was working with Mercy Ships in New Zealand, and we really felt that there was a call for us to go up to work with one of the other ships, and ended up on the Caribbean Mercy as the crew physician. My wife was the high school teacher on board, and they needed to have someone take over as the executive director for the ship. And I went into that, and it was during that time that I really realised my love for doing organisational development, training and development, and leadership and management training. And then I went up to the international office, which is in Texas, and started working in organisational development there.
And Mercy Ships, another Kiwi connection here, is the subject of a TV documentary which has been made by Rob Harley.
Yes, right.
So that must be quite interesting to have.
Yeah, it was fascinating. I watched some excerpts from that last night, and it was really terrific to see. I think it was at ordinary heroes that he did, yeah. So yeah, it was a great documentary to watch. I really enjoyed that.
So what next for Mercy Ships?
What we've done, we had up to 3 ships at one stage, and the Maritime Organisation, the International Maritime Organisation, or IMO, has started to regulate the shipping industry a lot more. And by 2010, they were wanting older ships to be compliant, especially with fire safety rules. And we felt that it was the best stewardship, really, not to put a lot of money into a very old ship. And so we retired those ships, and we have the Africa Mercy, which is the ship that we're using currently. And what we're doing right now is trying to see how we can replicate what we're doing on the Africa Mercy with with other ships. And so what we're doing right now is looking at how do we manage to replicate the model and have structures and systems and processes in place that will enable us to replicate easily without a lot of extra effort.
Yeah. Exciting times, Andrew. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.